Hello everyone, it is SuperHappyJim here. Today I'm talking about 7 overwhelmingly positive games on Steam that you probably have not heard of. Obviously, you can just play these on PC, but I've been playing these on Steam Deck and they all run great with really nice battery life as well. I'm going to try and make this video short, so I'm going to jump right into the first game, which is Armored Head. This is a wave-based shooter similar to Call of Duty Zombies, but has more of the speed of something like Doom. I find this one really fun. It's really easy to pick up for just a few minutes or play for a little while as well. Every round, they basically give you a new weapon. They introduce new enemies. All around, a really fun game, and this is actually one of the most well-reviewed games on Steam, period. It does not have native controller support, and the default controls are pretty decent, but out of all the games on here, I wound up tinkering with the controls of this one the most. If you want, you can just search the controller profiles for SHJ, and my setup should pop up if you just want to apply it. But I enabled gyro controls, I enabled the back buttons for stuff like jump, dash, and switching weapons. In the settings, I like to disable motion blur, head bobbing, and tilting. I just kind of always find that stuff annoying in games, but I feel like in this one it's definitely a bit distracting. It costs $4.99, but it often goes on sale for $2.99. Next up is Bloody Hell. This game is great. I love this game. It is a top-down bullet hell Metroidvania with a very gross art style, but I love it. It definitely takes inspiration from games like Enter the Gungeon, but also has mechanics from Hollow Knight and the Souls games. In the settings, you're going to want to change the resolution back and forth just from its default to something, and then back to the default. The game starts punched in, where it cuts off some of the UI on the side, so you can just do that to get rid of it. And then you might as well turn off VSync because the Steam Deck includes it, so you might be getting rid of a little bit of latency by turning off VSync. The only negative thing I can say about this game is that it's really short. It's only a few hours long, but it more than makes up for it by being free. And this game isn't like, mobile game free. It is just a 100% free game. It's great. Next up is, I'm actually putting 2 games under this entry, and you'll see why in a second. It is DAGGERS. This is basically just a last as long as you can movement shooter. This game is very much built around you using a mouse and keyboard, even though the controls are really simple. So instead of having the left mouse click on the right trigger, I would put it on the right bumper. And the reason being is the 2 types of fire you have are like a shotgun blast and then full auto. The shotgun blast is just done by a quick click of the mouse button, and then the full auto is by holding it down. The game defaults to putting this on the right trigger, but it makes it really hard to do that quick click. So I would move left mouse click to the right bumper. And then to closer mimic mouse movement, I would definitely use the right touchpad for aiming. If you put the in-game sensitivity to 1.25, it allows you to look around with a full 360 without lifting your thumb off that touchpad. And that is pretty sensitive, but you get used to it really quick. This game is $9.99, but often goes on sale for $4.99 and $3.99. And then another game by the same creators is Hyperdemon. It's a very similar game, as you can tell in general, but the art style of this one I would describe as taking acid before going on the Demonator from that Drake and Josh episode.
It was like taking a piggyback ride from a wild tiger through the eye of a tornado.
It's a very similar game, but it does something really interesting where if an enemy is coming up behind you, it's shown in your peripheral vision as this kind of red flashing image, and it's a little like almost disorienting at first, but you get used to it really fast, and it winds up giving you the visibility of kind of a top-down bullet hell, but from the first-person perspective. It's really unique and interesting, and I've been enjoying this game a lot. To be able to turn with 360 degrees, again, on that touchpad, you're going to change the in-game sensitivity all the way up to 1, and then change the sensitivity within the Steam settings to 200. This game is $14.99. It often goes on sale for $11.99, but recently it was just $10. Oh, I'm excited to talk about this next game. It is Frog Detective. There are actually 3 of these games. I could have put any number of them on here, but I put the first one on. This game is great. It is basically a point-and-click adventure game, but from the first person. Now, don't expect a Case of the Golden Idol levels of detective work here. The story kind of plays out just by you talking to all the characters. I love this game more for the characters and the writing. This game is really, really funny. Of course, that's subjective. I'm sure you can watch a trailer for this game and know if it's for you or not. But I had a lot of fun playing this game with my wife and some friends. There's no recorded dialogue. It's all just script. So I would highly, highly suggest getting a group of friends together and then have different friends read for the different characters. We had one friend be the voice of Frog Detective, and then the rest of us took turns being the different characters that were being interrogated, and it was a lot of fun. Each one of these games is about the length of a movie, so it's really easy to just get through in an evening. This game is $4.99, but often goes on sale for $3.49 and $2.99. Next up is Tiny Rogues. I just love playing roguelites on the Steam Deck. I think it's kind of a perfect device for it. This game kind of has an NES art style, but the gameplay is very satisfying, and you can get some really silly builds going. This is one of those games where it's really easy to make a broken build that will just carry you pretty far in this game, and I find that really fun and satisfying. For some reason, the game defaults to 30 FPS in the game settings, so definitely turn that off. And then it has a bunch of CRT effects on by default. I don't really mind them, except for one that has these very chunky scan lines that go through the screen way too often, so I would turn that off as well. This is a really fun one that takes a long, long time to drain your battery. All right, next up is Lost in Play. I had a ton of fun with this game recently. I played it with my wife. It is essentially a point-and-click adventure game where each little puzzle to solve is really self-contained within its own little scene. You don't pick up any items that you have to save until the end of the game. It's really hard to get lost or confused when figuring out what items to use where, which I really appreciate. The game also changes up its setting and its gameplay pretty often. The point-and-click stuff is broken up by these nice little puzzle sections that have some unique, interesting mechanics, some like logic puzzle type things. And then the whole thing is just wrapped up in this beautifully animated bow. It has this really nice hand-drawn animation style that feels like could be a kid's cartoon today. Really, really well-made game, and it's really solid start to finish. For the settings, thankfully you don't have to change anything. You just start this game up, and it's perfect. Lost in Play is $19.99, but often goes on sale for $11.99 and even as low as $10. I saved this one for last because it's one that there's a good chance you've heard of if you keep up to date on new games releasing, but it is My Friendly Neighborhood. I had so much fun with this game. If you look at the aesthetics alone, you might assume it's a Five Nights at Freddy's clone, but it's actually a Resident Evil clone. It has some old school mechanics from Resident Evil, like you actually have to find in-game coins to save your game, but it has a very light emphasis on combat and way more of an emphasis on puzzle solving. Just a super great game with really good atmosphere. In this one, I find the view bobbing really distracting, so I would definitely turn it off in the settings. It is $29.99, but it did start out at $26.99. Hopefully it goes on sale for that or less again soon. All right, well, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks.